Who's got it better than us? Nobody!
Robert is being chased, thrown on the run, and it is caught. Touchdown, Keenan Allen. What a great...
My goal is not to break you. My goal is to make you harder to break.
Comes back, number six.
Huge sack by Joey Bosa.
Touchdown! 90-yard touchdown!
Off at the 8-yard line by Derwin James.
Sets his speed, takes a shot downfield, has Knighton. Caught! Touchdown! Chargers!
Grab your lunch boxes and go attack this day with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind.
What is going on, Bolt fam? Welcome to the Thunder Down Under Chargers podcast. Andy here alongside Jack and Al, and could you possibly ask for a better start to the season than that? How are we going, fellas? Jack, I was with Al during the game. How were you coping in Hobart?
Oh, I tell you what, I think I scared my daughter a couple of times. I was that excited. I was very, very anxious. We were all on a group chat, which was great fun. We called each other out a couple of times because some silly things were said. There were some little nerves from me. Alistair calling the game a little bit too early, which I'm sure you gave him a good thump for. But, mate, I was over the moon. It literally has made my week. I'm still on cloud nine. So that's what it feels like to beat the Chiefs. First time in 4 years. Al, how exciting.
First time in the history of our pod that the Chargers beat the Chiefs. And listeners...
Never covered a Chargers victory over the Chiefs. Unbelievable.
Amazing. Yep.
What the guys are referring to is after the Chargers scored and went up by 9 points with 5 minutes and 15 seconds left, I said, it's all over. It's all over, boys. The game is all over. And unfortunately, I made that same remark when the Brandon Staley Chargers went to halftime in wildcard game against Jacksonville up by a staggering margin. But this was important for me, guys. Karmically, I needed that leveling out of the karmas and the fates. And this one, hey, but why not trust this new era when you have a 9-point lead with 5.5 minutes left and Jesse Minter as the DC and Greg Roman at the controllers, at the buttons, pulling all the strings? You should feel confident, I think, that you're going to maintain that lead even against a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, who pulled rabbits out of the hat, did all sorts of ridiculous stuff. There were those echoes that something bad might be about to occur, Andy. But ultimately, was the game ever in doubt, leading for 100%? Or at least never, ever did the Chiefs lead at any stage in that football game.
No, that's right. Staved off, I think, 1 point, 2 point, and 6 point kind of attempts at coming back to hold on and win. But there were certainly moments where, as a Chargers fan, it was just natural to get the bad rumbles in the tummy, right? There's the fumble and then the bat out. And there's, you just feel a little bit of panic within the players. Amarian runs out of bounds rather than sort of going down in the field. And then the Chiefs get that field goal before halftime, and you just felt that big kind of momentum swing. And for the peaks of the first couple of possessions where we just looked unbelievable and we're throwing the ball so much, it was glorious. You then sort of brought back down to earth a little bit, but God, it was one of those in Herbert we trust, right? Just sealing it off with that 19-yard scramble on 3rd and 14th, leg in the air. Yeah, that's when you knew it was home. It was certainly
that was exceptional. I let out a huge scream that woke my daughter up from her nap, and I had to deal with those consequences. But I'm very happy with that. But just looking, like, you look at some of the key metrics of the game, and the Chargers kind of came out on top on almost all of them. I mean, let's just talk about that quarterback battle for a second, because, what Justin Herbert did arguably is, people are saying it's the best performance of his career. Perhaps, the meaning of the game, all eyes are on you. It's a Saturday game for us. It's in Sao Paulo. A lot of people watching. Was he 304, 25 of 34, 3 TDs, 130 passer rating, 73.5% completions, 12.2 yards per completion, 8.9 yards per attempt. And just things on like third down, sometimes the Chargers would always just be lacking the Chiefs on third down completions. We're sitting at 55 34. Chiefs are sitting at 36. And our red zone completions were great. We're above that 50% or around that 50%, where the Chiefs were 1 of 3 at 33. So those types of numbers are not used to being in the Chargers' favour whenever we play the Chiefs. It's normally the other way around. But Justin Herbert was exceptional, Al.
Not only him, but his play caller. I thought the way Greg Roman crafted that masterclass, like that was his magnum opus. That was Greg Roman saying, I've heard everyone say, I am holding this team back. Well, I've told you it was a little bit personnel and it was a little bit Justin Herbert being injured for the first 4 weeks of the year. Watch me now with a whole off season to prepare for how I want to play football. I've learned from this game never to really doubt this coaching staff ever again. Because let's talk about an hour before the game, boys. When the inactives were named, RJ Mickens is not suiting up, and nor is Tony Jefferson. Kendall Williamson is playing instead. Oronde Gadsden is not suiting up. Naquan Jones is not suiting up. Instead, it's Justin Aboigbe. All of those decisions, I was a little bit confused, We're only playing the 3 running backs. I didn't really know what to expect. I thought it might have been a blunder. I think the Chiefs didn't know what to expect. Greg Roman coming out and deciding the best 3 players on our offense are actually Keenan, Ladd, and QJ, and everyone thinks we're going to come and run the ball. We've got a half-impeded Najee Harris and a rookie playing his first game. Nope. We're going to come out in 11 personnel and throw the fucking shit out of it. And Spagnuolo had no idea what was coming. We exploited their tendencies. They're running mesh traffic in the red area, knowing the Chiefs are going to play man coverage. Of course they do. They collide into each other. Trent McDuffie and Drew Tranquil. QJ is wide open for a touchdown. And that 10-0 margin in the game, when you've got Jesse Minter on the other side, gave me and Justin Herbert, Andy, obviously, all the confidence in the world that they were going to walk away with nothing other than a victory.
Yeah, I couldn't feel the confidence necessarily during the game, but certainly after, and just what it proved, that the corner that this team seems to have taken has instilled that confidence in me, certainly. And I'm hoping, the more that this season grows, the more we see of this, and I continue to feel this way because it's awesome. We run mesh and it conquers them. They run mesh and Xavier Worthy's done. Thanks, Travis Kelce.
Spot on.
We'll give you that touchdown and the really weird bull matador celebration you're pulling. You can have that because Taya Tart knocked your fucking clock off, brother. You're getting power bombed by Derwin. You're getting bitch slapped by Taya Tart, who stays on the field. I don't condone it, but that is just great. And yeah, look.
Taya Tart thought he was Jackie Chan, man. The way he used his hands the whole game, not only that, but
unbelievable.
He batted 3 passes.
Yeah.
What this guy doing?
And they
It's
were
Ken
integral
Shamrock.
passes as well. They were integral to break up that. We always said that Herbert had a tendency, was it last year or the year before, to get those passes batted at the line. I think that really plays with a quarterback's head as well. The fact that you've got a lane, but there's just those hands in the way. Alistair, you mentioned it. I do have a ticket to click because a number of episodes ago, there was a commenter who came out and said what I said in terms of, well, hey, you know what? Maybe Greg Roman and the Chargers might come out in Sao Paulo in the first 4 weeks. Everyone's expecting them to run. Everyone's expecting them to use, 12, 13 personnel, run the rock. But, hey, is there a chance that Roman actually goes, hey, let's zig when everyone thinks we're going to zag? And there was a person that was quite negative towards me. I'm not going to name them, but they know who they are if they're listening. So I just want to go suck shit. And Herbert had one of the biggest and best passing games of his career. And so did, and Greg Roman, Alistair, as you said, had one of the best games throwing the ball in 11 personnel. So, you know what? Maybe I do know something. And perhaps, maybe just be a little bit more empathetic or understanding, but thanks for listening. Appreciate it. Al, I just want to...
It's gone off.
I have, because I don't like people being negative, within reason. I thought it was a bit uncouth to say that. Anyway, Al, how good was Justin Herbert? and Greg Roman in terms of blitzing versus no blitzing. One of the criticisms we had of Roman and Herbert last year was that they weren't great at blitzing. Their concepts weren't good, or he wasn't getting the ball out quick enough. He didn't diagnose. But I mean, Herbert was blitzed around 41%. His completion rate, 71%, 140 yards, 10 yards per attempt, 1 touchdown with a passer rating of 127. That's unbelievable. That shows to me that he's gone and done his homework. And Justin Herbert is just left off in terms of the play action because he's going 82% completion rate, 15.5 yards per attempt, 0 turnovers of a passer rating of 120. Like, that's unbelievable. How do you stop this guy? I don't know. But it was just, as you said, I don't want to keep heaping on Justin Herbert, but it was an incredible game.
Yes, I mean, they knew what was coming with Spags. I thought they really upped their blitz rate in the second half in particular. And to be fair, when we were all getting a little stressed in quarter number 3, those blitzes were starting to get home. And one in particular, when he sent 7, taking Tranquil out of the slot. How they disguise that blitz is unbelievable. Like, as the ball snapped, they all time it perfectly, and Herbert didn't pick that one up. And Harbaugh said it would have killed a lesser man in his press conference today. So you don't want too many of those unblocked hits to the quarterback. Part of that is on Herbert recognizing pre-snap and making sure there's a hot answer on the play. But overwhelmingly, Jack, the offensive line in particular picked up the different games that were happening. We saw Zion Johnson and Joe Alt pick up an end tackle stunt on 3rd and 15 to allow a 14-yard completion to Quentin Johnson, which became that 4th and 1 conversion, I think, to Hampton.
Amarian, yeah. Got about 4 yards on the carry. Yep.
That was not happening last year. Now I'm still waiting to see Bozeman and Zion pick one up together, but I'll take Zion and Alt to at least start things off. But I thought it was almost a perfect performance from Greg Roman because there were a couple of missed opportunities. Herbert did overthrow Ladd McConkey when he was open for a touchdown down the right sideline. And there just were a couple of these missed opportunities. Before we started recording, Jack, we referred to Quentin Johnston almost catching one in the end zone. Pass was broken up. That was in his hands. So it really could have been 30-plus points against the Chiefs defense that is always stingy. Chris Jones was mostly stultified. He had a few wins against Bozeman, but I thought they even contained him. It was a stunning performance. We're going to continue to be effusive with this praise, Andy, but I know Chiefs fans will be thinking, guys, we didn't have Rashee Rice or Xavier Worthy. We'll see you later on in the year. And let's just acknowledge that for a second. That is true. But do you think, Andy, should this game cause fans to rethink, adjust season expectations? Or is this just week 1 and weird stuff happens?
Look, I think as far as pass protection went, it's not a bad defensive front that we played against, right? It's not like they were, missing all of their starters on the defensive line. I think we held up, and that was the big concern. That was the shift in the mentality of fans and media pundits all around the NFL about the Chargers is we'll knock them down power rankings because Rashawn Slater's out. Completely fair. Joe Alt moves utterly seamlessly across to left tackle. 41 snaps, 0 pressures. Can't believe him. He's just getting better. He's just building and building and building. And now he's Herbert's social protection. Human condom, if you will. So Pipkins was serviceable. I think Karloftis beat him a lot on the line, and it's a very rounded way of answering your question, but the big kind of problems we're concerned about how the efficiency of the wide receiver room was going to kind of work, and four receivers or a tight end and 3 wide receivers with 50-plus yards. That's pretty awesome to me. So I think it should change people's outlook on what this at least offense is capable of. And I think there's definitely moments in the Chiefs game where the defense was awesome, and when the defense maybe just kind of took the foot off the gas a little bit. There's strengths and weaknesses to that. So I still don't think it's too much of a downgrade from where it was last year. So I really think this team can be capable of a lot. And sure, Mahomes didn't have 2 of his weapons, but he had a he had a lesser cast, or like a pretty average cast last year, and they still won 15 games.
And Jack,
I think
Tao asked me last week, do you think Greg Roman will show any development this year? I got to say, after one performance, the real difference I saw, and you can tell me what you think, we've got a quick game all of a sudden with Keenan Allen returning. That fourth quarter touchdown drive, we've had a 4-yard completion to Keenan, a 9-yard completion to Keenan on third, 11-yard catch to Trey Harris, Jack, 9 yards to Ladd. That I felt like that was missing last year because Palmer was either not available or not dependable. QJ was lower on confidence. And now we've got KLS and Trey and Keenan and Ladd. It's just a bevy of talent, Jack.
absolutely. And, you know, I gave you the play action numbers. You know, he's going at 15.5 yards per attempt. But then on the other side, with no play action, that's around 70% of his throws. He's going at 149 yards, but he's only at 6.5 yards per attempt, right? So there's this clear delineation in this. All right, now we have this small and intermediate game, but we also have this big long play action game. And again, to look at it. He's getting around in that no play action. He's looking at around 2.8 to 2.9 seconds to throw as well. That's up there for a non-play action game as well. So the pass protection held up really, really well. The other thing, Alistair, that I was expecting to see, we did not have any screens, no bubble screens, nothing. There was absolutely nothing.
we're all chomping at the screen. Who's going to throw the chicken into the water?
Yeah, but this is the whole thing. Like, how do you stop? We mentioned before. How do you stop 11 personnel when you've got Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen, and QJ? QJ's doing some sort of drag or crossing route, and you've got the two guys doing some form of sticks, short yards coming back to the ball, or doing some body English at the top of a route. It's pretty hard to stop, right? Alistair, moratorium on Keenan Allen, 3rd and Keenan. We heard, if you're listening to Mic'd Up, DJ's going 3rd and Keenan. It's going to happen. Guy looked like he hasn't even spent any time away from the organization whatsoever. Are you happy he's back?
Oh, yeah, 100%. It makes the team better. And in my core, I like Keenan Allen, always have as a player.
Love him.
Love him. He's been a superstar for the Chargers. And I was impressed watching the All-22. I thought he looked pretty spry off the line of scrimmage. There were a couple of drops, like a couple where maybe I still think you see shades that he's not vintage Keenan. I think you can
But he doesn't need to be.
He doesn't need to be. And I've seen a few people say online, look, did it kind of diminish Ladd's performance? And is there still a problem there having them steal reps from each other? I didn't see it that way. I also was blown away that they use QJ in the slot 23.7% of the time.
Did see that. Yeah.
Third most of his career. His touchdown came from the slot. A player who struggles to get off press coverage at the line, put him in the slot, they get a free release. I've been calling for it for 3 years. Greg Roman delivered. So, yeah, man, I'm super excited. Last thing on the offense, because it's been all positive. Andy, obviously, run game, largely ineffective. 16 carries, 53 yards. That's only around 3 yards a carry. What did you see from it? Are you concerned at all? Game specific? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, completely understand the snap cap on Najee. And so I'm kind of going to mulligan week 1 for him, just get him back in, barely trained. I'm really impressed with the faith that the team have in Omari. Played 52 of 65 offensive snaps. I think his 3.2 yards a carry was not particularly his doing. There were a few times where he just churns the legs, really gets defenders dragging off him. He runs with purpose, and is ferocious. A lot of the time, the running lanes broke down. The run blocking as a whole wasn't great. But maybe that was a personnel, not enough sort of support for the run defense that these guys were facing. Can't kind of have it all. Becton was, poor guy's food poisoning, and he's hoofing down oxygen on the sideline. Jamari Sully stepped in and they were two of the better guys. So look, that was probably the big downside of the offensive performance and how it's sort of reflected on Amarian's stat line, we'll sort of know that, you know, he ran well, so that's promising signs. We'll just hope that the blocking scheme improves.
Yeah, I'm a little bit more bullish on it. I thought, you know, you've got Bolton and Tranquil, who I think are two of the better run defending linebackers. They love to tackle. They love shooting those A and B gaps. Spags was loading the box early on because they were expecting run. But this is the thing, right, is that what we didn't have last year was the danger of a strong running attack. J.K. Dobbins did his best, you know, Haskins did his best, and Gus the Bus was Gus the Bus. But teams really didn't have to respect it too much. So, yeah, listen, we're only going at 3.5 yards, but there were some runs by both Harris and Omarion that last year would have been a 1 yard gain, but they're not. They're 3 yard gains. They're 4 yard gains. And it just changes when you look up as a quarterback and you see it's not 2nd and 9, it's 2nd and 6, it's 2nd and 7, and it's 3rd and 3, or it's 3rd and 4, not 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. I think that makes a really big difference. And we saw it on the play after the QJ, you know, was it a first down? Was it not? I think it probably was. Just to get that. And that just sucks the life out of the defense to continually have positive plays, to not get negative plays or tackles for loss, which I feel like we've had over the past years over and over because we haven't had that dangerous running back room. And ultimately, perhaps it's that danger that allows the pass game to operate. And I think we've seen it. We're going to have games where Amarian's going to touch the ball 20 times, I reckon. And between he and Najee, there's going to be 30, 35 carries. But you know what? Great, multi-dimensional. I thought, as you said, it's the danger of the running game that teams now have to respect more than ever. Yep, the numbers don't look good, but it was integral to us winning that game, Alistair.
Spot on. Ryan might not get an apology out of me for 48 total rush yards, but had to slip that in there. There was an important moment in the third quarter where they went 3 runs in a row. All of them were more than 5 yards. Hampton, and then Najee had his 5 yard carry, and then Hampton again, and we ended up pushing that in and scoring, I think, from memory. So that was, or at least a field goal. So that was, when it mattered, they could get it. On that 4th and 1, Hampton gets 4 yards instead of the 1 yard. He's so hard to bring down. So it gives us that
we're not getting that last year.
Nah.
JK or Gus are not getting that 4th down conversion. The way he ran kind of laterally and then pushed up through.
Or Herbert's getting injured
got
doing
4
that.
yards.
Like he's like breaking his hand while he dives into a pile of big men, you know.
For sure. Yeah, what a difference it makes when your athletic quarterback doesn't have plantar fasciitis through training camp and can actually use his legs. The awareness that, I just want to go sort of full circle to wrap up the offense because I think it's a really important thing. It's a big credit to Greg Roman is the way he used his players. We sort of vaguely touched on it earlier, but QJ excelled because he was used in the right way. 39 yards after contact, horizontal stuff. That's
TCU.
Perfect.
That's TCU QJ.
And he's really good at it. At like a tall receiver, should not be able to go 38 yards after catch on that very first completion with Ladd blocking downfield. Elite.
Oh, wasn't that exciting?
Oh, golly. And the recognition of, as you said, stacking the box heavy early. Roman realizes that and goes, all right, we'll pass the ball. And they actually set up the running game by throwing the ball, which is completely inverse to anything that Greg Roman's ever been near. So, yeah, really, really impressed across the board. What a way to start.
And just to put a cherry on top of what I said before, I forgot to mention it. The Chiefs are last year with the 7th ranked PFF run defense, so they are a very, very solid unit. So again, that just goes to show maybe numbers in this sense is not everything. Well done.
Nice. Defensive side of the ball, really, really strong on the third down stops early. Really stifled a lot of momentum for the Chiefs. Didn't really see... There wasn't really too many, I think, that flashed. I remember saying to you, Al, I barely saw Derwin, and then Derwin was everywhere. And you could see by his presence on the field, he needed to get involved in the game.
Yeah.
And when he did, it was, he was really part of that defensive kind of push that helped close out the Chiefs, and sort of falter them when we needed to come back and score. How did you guys see? Oh, look, Jack, let's start with the defensive line. Your big fellas.
Yeah, pass rush was not great. I didn't think from the interior. I think Tier Tart was possibly the pick of the bunch there. We spoke about him earlier. I mean, 2 tackles, 2 or 3 batted passes. He really was sturdy, I thought. Caldwell, I've got him in kind of my bottom 5 in terms of performance. I didn't think he was great. Rookie, big game, did his job. And I've also got Obonia as well. He played 18 snaps or so, 0 pressure, 0 stops, no really impact players. And we've also got to think that we allowed the Chiefs almost 5.5 yards a carry, I believe, as well. So, but again, you go, well, defensive line didn't have a great outing in that sense, but did they contain Mahomes? Did they force him into harder throws? Absolutely. So whilst on the stat sheet, you look at PFF and some of our big guys aren't rating particularly highly other than Tart, I think that overall for a game plan, it worked because we won. So that's kind of how I look at it. Al, before you go, Andy, you touched on it. Derwin James had, I didn't realize, but one of the better games I've probably ever seen from him. Kind of that Pittsburgh Steeler Derwin. You remember that Pittsburgh game where he was just everywhere, interceptions? 6 tackles, 0 misses, 5 stops, 3 total pressures, 2 hits, 1 hurry. He only allowed 14 yards off of 4 receives out of 6 targets. I just called him Captain Clean. If that's going to be Derwin James for this year, the guy's going to be an all-pro and he's going to be the best safety in the league. Just absolutely incredible. Al, edge group. Couple of guys, what do we think?
Yeah, they were not really noticed. I thought Mack looked a bit sluggish. Dupree was well contained. Tooley filled some elements of the stat sheet, but I didn't notice a strong presence from him. But I thought you nailed it, Jack. They really were setting an edge and containing Mahomes, and I thought they did that with aplomb. They really were clever about the angles they took, not over pursuing, because when it happens, he pisses off for 15 yards with his feet. Every time. You're not going to sack him, and he just goes. And we saw when Chris Jones broke contain on the last play of the game and did the not team thing. He cut inside the tackle. Herbert goes, no worries, I'll run outside. And Drew Tranquil was yelling at Chris Jones, you're being a hero. Yeah. It's 3rd and 13. We didn't do any of that. We played disciplined football on defense. Caldwell was quiet, Jack, but he had one important play that didn't quite appear on that PFF chart. He got push on Trey Smith with a bull rush on the play where Patrick Mahomes overthrew Tyquan Thornton. And when you look at it, Mahomes has actually had to fade to his left because the pocket's collapsing, and that throwing off platform, he sails it by about 8 yards. Without that, maybe he hits it, but maybe not. I thought an interesting stat, Jack, for the defensive line. I'm going to call it a collective stat. You don't see this often. When Mahomes was under pressure in this game, he had a PFF grade of 92.9. You usually expect to see somewhere between 50 and 60. So when you actually got pressure on him, he was elite. He did that Houdini throw. I still can't believe he did that. When the pocket was clean for Mahomes, his PFF grade was 60.6. 32 points worse. That speaks to that connection of coverage on the back end. And you might not notice front, the gaudy stats. Yeah, but Derwin is blanketing Kelsey, and you've appropriately bracketed whoever the speed threat is on the play, and you've got the linebackers in sync, and you've got the corners with eyes on the quarterback. And the best drive, Andy, before I let you, because I'm about to come, the best thing that I saw. Sorry, these. I've said some. That's
flag on the flag. That's you're out. That's you're ejected.
Please come on. I'm Tier Tart. It was an open hand. It was an open hand.
Oh, was it? As opposed to a closed one.
Yeah, I'll close fisted in a second.
You're just smacking it.
But I thought this was best exemplified with how we weathered the dink and dunk storm in quarter two with a 10-point lead, 10-0 is the score. The Chiefs go on a 17-play drive that goes only 49 total yards with 2 fourth-down conversions, and they walk away with only 3 points because Deion Henley gets the sack playing QB spy. So we're like, okay, you be as boring and conservative as you want on a 17-play drive and walk away with 3 points. We'll walk away with a win.
Yeah, well said. I'll just sort of give my thoughts on the defensive line and the run defense and pass rush. I thought Jack, you mentioned the yards per carry for the Chiefs. A lot of that came when that edge broke down, right? And Mahomes was able to slip. We've got great coverage. I thought as a whole, barring maybe 2 plays that came off, possibly 4 for 2 incompletions that didn't work to Tyquan Thornton, the coverage was awesome. And that's what allowed continuation of, the ability for the edge rushers to get home and for the linebackers to create pressure on Mahomes as well. But that just contain of allowing them short yardage. Hollywood Brown was a big receiver of, those small little kind of trying to go 1,000 cuts. But the defense was stoic, I thought. Really well disciplined. Not many penalties and just, really tight. Knew when to sort of come down. And Henley, I thought, when Perryman went down, Henley really stepped up and led the middle of the field and executed that tackle on that sack awesomely.
That's such a great word, Jack, stoic, because it takes stoicism to be able to put that, what was it, a 49-yard completion on 4th down with Elijah Molden biting on the deep over when he's the middle of the field safety. You can't do that. They put that out of their mind and they just bowed up, and they did it numerous times throughout the game.
Yeah, I mean, looking at I think 2 of our 3 starting cornerbacks had a good game. I think Dante Jackson as a first outing was great, bar that he really should have tried to take Mahomes' head off. But again, he didn't, right? And, everyone's actually starting to have a little bit of a go at Mahomes.
He got fucking licked by Mahomes.
He did.
But again,
can't be copping that.
No, because if he takes it to him, Mahomes goes, and it's a 15-yard penalty, and it's a 15-yard penalty. No, I guarantee you, even if he gets hit, Mahomes goes, even if he's in the field of play, they'll throw the flag and it's 15 yards. So I thought he looked good. He only allowed a passer rating of 42.5. I think Tahib still, even though he got gashed for about 38 on that big completion, looked pretty solid as well. Really good. I am a little bit worried about Cam Hart, and I had a little bit of an issue in the off-season with him as well, which I got attacked for. Someone said Cam Hart's the alpha dog. I was like, oh, is he? Not a great game.
Suck shit,
but again. But again, Al, you said when we were watching it, it's like, why is this guy on the boundary? Like he's a big guy and he's on Thornton and he's being asked against really, really speedy receivers. Now, whether that's just good play design from Andy Reid or not, I don't know. But Cam Hart probably doesn't do his best work against guys that are like 4.3, 4.2 speed. And I must admit, you talked about the linebackers. I thought Troy Dye was a solid tackler, but when it comes to coverage, I think there's going to be a little bit of an issue there. I thought that Reid really took advantage of him there. 4 targets, 4 receives, 55 yards, and a yak of 37 by the stats I was looking at. So Perryman looks like he's going to be
Kelsey's,
out. Yeah,
that was Kelsey's touchdown, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think because he completely screwed that up. But yeah, really good play design. But yeah, Perryman being out is he's going to be out 4 to 6, I think. So, Al, what did you think of the sort of the back end? You sort of talked about it before, how it was pretty in sync with the front. Anything else we wanted to add on what I just said there?
Pretty vanilla defense for the most part, like in terms of schematically. Minter is really developing a knack for, I don't want to blitz at all. He blitzed Mahomes on 17% of dropbacks. So that is a very, very low number. We're playing zone coverage all the time because he can trust his cornerbacks to tackle. Tahib still in particular, you noticed. That second play, let's not forget, fans, when we had Michael Davis in the team in Asante, the second snap of the game, Xavier Worthy comes across in some kind of orbit motion. He's coming across from the right of the line of scrimmage to the left. He actually then pivots and gets the ball and turns around back to the right. I'm telling you right now, 2 years ago, whoever that corner is his eyes are in the other side of the field. He's taking 4 false steps. And then by the time he realizes it's coming his way, he's blocked out of the screen and it's a 40-yard run. Still read it perfectly, saw worthy, took 3 steps, forced the run to come back inside. Henley cleaned it up. 3 yards. That kind of stuff is just coaching. That is Steve Klinscale, Jesse Minter, training up his players, drafting players, Hortiz, who fit the scheme and they're good with their eyes to the quarterback. Yeah, I thought it was a really good showing, save for maybe 2 things. Between Molden and Gilman, I thought there was slow to react.
Miscommunication?
A bit of miscommunication. Obviously, one bad busted blown coverage. I thought they were generally a little slow. They were seeing it and then getting there and laying the tackle. Not every time, but if I'm going to poke any holes, I thought, okay, those 2 safeties would want to start to lift their performance because you do have Mickens and Jefferson looking over your shoulder. Maybe that's a good thing. It keeps the pressure on. Jack, you already mentioned it. Cam Hart he just had a bad game. He had
Mulligan, do you think you
preseason.
just go Mulligan? He's been interrupted. He's been a bit injured. He'll be all right.
He does it too much more, and you've got to take him off the field because Thornton beat him 3 times. Mahomes missed 2 of the connections, and Hollywood Brown beat him on a red zone pivot route where he kind of goes in and then out, and Mahomes just missed the throw. Yeah. So Hart was really in all sorts. In fact, the Chiefs in general, that could have been a closer game. Had Mahomes missed Kelsey right at the end in the red zone in Q4. He thought it was going to keep coming, but then he stopped. They showed the signs of a team who aren't as ready to go. Our well-coached team were ready to dominate and did.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, the sad thing is it took 3 kind of bomb attempts to Tyquan Thornton before it worked, and then you're like, now the timing's starting to click, They would just make this, former bust second-round pick work for Mahomes and Andy Reid. Man, tell me Taheeb still looks like a second-year player. 1 game into his second year. The guy is a seasoned pro. Just got some
pick.
Just got
That's
some,
great.
He's got smarts.
Just got some
just wants to learn.
IQ, doesn't he?
Just wants to learn. Yeah, he's great.
Anything further, fellas? Al, we'll do a bit of snakes and ladders. How do you feel about that, Jack?
Oh, I did want to say just very, very sneaky.
You got a third listener to call out?
No, I don't.
Opening himself up to stab wounds by the masses of YouTube.
No one's coming down to Hobart, mate.
I'm getting a shout out.
The special teams. There's a couple of bits hidden yardage here. Like Dicker is perfect. Dicker's compatriot Butker missed his Mr. PAT. And obviously the Chiefs left points on that 2-point try. Huge. Ended up being really, really big. And I think even though the Chiefs had they had 100 and they had quite a few return yards. Is that right? Off the top of my head, I think
they had a couple okay returns.
Yeah, but I mean, JK.
I think it was Thornton as well.
Had a big one.
Something.
So, but ultimately, JK Scott, I think, looks like had a 53-yard average with a 49.5 net, whereas the punt god only had a 38.7. So that's a decent sort of chunk of yards, hidden yardage. That again, those are the things that the Chargers are always on the other side of. We've got the lesser net punt yards than the Chiefs. And I think of those Belichick teams that were very successful. It was that hidden yardage that they were always on top, always. And it was that, it's that silent killer, right? In your offense and in your defense, how much field you have to work with, that type of stuff. So obviously, we were pretty prepared on special teams as well. And Ja'Sir Taylor had a pretty good tackle. Other than that, I didn't really see too much
Andy's boy.
Other stuff.
Very good tackle.
Oh, and penalties, obviously.
Delshon Phillips too.
The penalties, 10 to 6, 49, 71. There's 30 yards or 20 yards, and that makes a difference.
And it's quite impressive that the net yardage was that way because the Razors' first punt was a boomer, and Darius Davis stuffed that bad. I reckon fucking got right into him and said, "Hey mate, 10 yards out, catch that shit because that's gone to the 2." Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we're in a bit of
your head in there, so.
Darius Davis. It's maybe we won't touch on him, but he's got some work to do, I think.
Yeah, I don't think he did too much bad after that. But Taub, Dave Taub was good at making sure that the kicks went to Haskins. Haskins ended up the return. So credit where it's due, right? we worked back. But Scott was good. Dicker was good. Give me more Rich Eisen commentating football, please. And Harrison Butker is surprisingly wide right, or whatever he said. So good. So good.
Very good.
Very fun. All right. Snakes and ladders, Al.
Snakes and ladders. I've got the snakes
Down
this
the-
week. It was very challenging to find one this week. I'm going left of field. I'm going to give it to ESPN's Ryan Clark. And I tried to leave it alone. The guy clearly doesn't watch a lot of film. Doesn't watch a lot of the sport, probably. He said, for Herbert, this dude that we crowned a top 10 quarterback, for starters, it's top 5, not top 10. This person that his own coach says everybody else needs to raise their level of play in order to be in a position that he's in, Justin Herbert, whenever it matters, has been terrible. The problem with that is you're equating playoff games to games that matter, of which there's only been 2. Herbert, I think he's like 3rd in the league for fourth quarter comeback since he debuted, and then he clearly hears this stuff. I reckon he knows this stuff is said, Jack. He doesn't come out and verbally address it, but he addresses it with his actions. And he did on the weekend. Ryan Clark was made to look a fool, tried to claim it after, being like, oh, okay, he's really good. People slammed him and he deserved it. So he is down the snake. And I want many more weeks, boys, where it's not even a Chargers player who's down the snake, because there are so few who've performed to deserve it.
Nice. Are we going back and forth? Have you got a few, or is that just your one? Just your one? Okay. Well, I've got a few. We've mentioned them. We've mentioned a few of them. I think QJ needs a shout out. Another big confidence boosting game for him. Dante Jackson, as you said perfectly, from my mind, Jack, a pretty good debut for the Chargers. The relationship between Justin Herbert and Greg Roman, however that's manifested its growth in, moving into year 2. Greg went to Oregon and visited Herbert in the off season, and they talked some football and smoked some brisket, and Greg Roman ate all the brisket, so Herbert had to smoke another brisket just to feed his family. Whether that the development of this relationship means that Greg has handed over part of this, the decision making to Justin, and it has given him the reins to make the calls himself. Maybe it's his love life that's inspired him to come out and play in front of Brazil and crush this game. Maybe it's all the noise that he heard over the offseason after arguably his worst performance in the loss to Houston. Whatever it is, I don't think I've seen the sort of fire in Justin. And as you said, Al, he doesn't speak it, but he performs it. He walks the walk without talking the talk. And I'm very excited for what has culminated to be a great QB-OC relationship.
Awesome. All right. This week's segment of Teach is not sponsored by anyone, but hopefully we'll get one by the end of the year.
Teach. All right, look, here's the deal. I've got a hangover.
2 kinds of excellence showed up this week: glory and grit. Joe Alt gets the photo, a rookie left tackle stonewalling with big club bare hands. Chris Jones, a perennial All-Pro. That image matters. It's proof that boring, perfect fundamentals scale to the biggest stage. Hands inside, independent punch, reset the anchor, don't chase the name, win the rep. That's preparation cashing out. But there's another kind of excellence that rarely gets a headline. We mentioned it before, very briefly though. Mekhi Becton played absolutely crook. He was on oxygen, struggling to breathe, running a high temperature, and that was just after eating the pizza at the hotel. Yet he still delivered a clean sheet in pass protection and a positive day, the best offensive lineman in the run game. That's not what I was expecting from Mekhi Becton, I must admit, but that shows toughness, professionalism, and trust. When your body won't help you, your habits do. Footwork, communication, eyes and hands on time. So that to me sets the standard for this team. Celebrate the highlight, but build the culture around the hidden stuff. And I said, I never thought I'd be saying that about Mekhi Becton, but here we are. Technique under pressure, resilience under duress. Alt gave us the poster, Becton gave us the blueprint. If this is Becton's baseline while he's sick, imagine his ceiling when he's right. And if Alt's fundamentals are already holding against someone like Chris Jones, imagine where he'll be in December. Glory and grit, we will need both. Class dismissed for the first time in 2025.
Nice. All right. Week 1 is behind us. We move on to week 2, where the Chargers, without Denzel Perryman, as we discussed, high ankle sprain, 4 to 6 potentially. IR could even be an option. We move on to Las Vegas on Monday Night Football to play the 1-0 Las Vegas Raiders, who overcame, I don't know, a little bit of a sophomore regression. Is that on the cards for Drake May? Geno Smith and Pete Carroll's first game with the Raiders. Geno went 24 of 34, 362, 1 touchdown, 1 pick in pretty average weather. It's a bit of a funny one as well with missed field goals and that. He was sacked 4 times on 15 pressures, so really just holding onto the ball maybe a little too long. Brock Bowers, the go-to as expected, 5 receptions, 103 yards. Don't take the speed of Trey Tucker lightly or, the reliability of Jacoby Myers. He's still there and he was putting out for Geno. Ashton Genty, yeah, wow, he's pretty fun to watch. He's an absolute just bullet. Scored a touchdown and just ran with absolute ferocity. So it's going to be a fun matchup of the first round running backs picked this year. Fellas, have you got anything to add on what you saw out of the Raiders? Jack, I remember you commenting that it was a bit of an odd game. Any thoughts?
It seemed a bit disjointed from the 40-minute that I was watching. I didn't realize how much of a game it was until kind of the final quarter. May was getting into rhythm. Geno Smith seems to have found a bit, passed for over 300 yards or something like that. But yeah, not what I expected. Again, I would have expected Genty to have a little bit more. I'll get into that in a second. But yeah, it felt a very disjointed game from watching us against the Chiefs. So yeah, bizarre, really, really bizarre game at Pat's.
Yeah, I'll launch straight into my opening headline and it would address that as well. I watched it. I got up early. I was excited to see football again. Isn't it great to have it back on the screen? Pete Carroll, Mike Vrabel in new colours. Well, for Vrabel, old, but new role. My perception of the game, poor conditions, but this is already a Pete Carroll football team, and you could see it in the level up in professionalism. Of the two teams, they were the cleaner and better prepared to start the game. May, as you said, was really scratchy, not confident in what he was seeing early, missed open throws. On the other side, first drive for the Raiders, Geno Smith, bang, big strike, Trey Tucker on the over route from the slot, 7-0 up. So that's already important in a wet game. And then in the second half, they were also the better team who made the adjustments. So they saw that the Pats were playing so much man coverage. And Adam Archuleta is one of my favourite under-the-radar colour commentators. It's him and Spiro Agnew. Like, you'd recognise their voices. He used to play the game. He kept calling out, this Pats team are playing man coverage all the time. Well, second half, you saw Chip Kelly in the Raiders offense. They're using rub routes. They're using this kind of stuff to take advantage of the man coverage. You've got Bowers, Myers open, streaming down the field. They also started capitalising on the front dominance they had because Will Campbell was a bit sloppy on debut. And, they started stunting a bit. Campbell allowed a couple of sacks. He had 2 penalties. Max Crosby got in on one of them, one of his kind of 7 pressures. So I just thought the Raiders, I thought actually the 7-point margin somewhat belied the dominance in the game. I feel like that was more weather related. I think these Raiders are going to be hard to beat. I think they've got enough weapons, both sides of the ball. I was relatively impressed by this being like a Pete Carroll football team already, Andy.
Yeah. You think it's a consistent enough over 4 quarters kind of operation? We'll see. My opening headline is Unhappy Birthday, Pete Carroll. He turns, I believe, 72, if not 74, on the 15th when we are scheduled to play. Chargers continue divisional dominance, adding Raiders to their hit list. Herbert continues hot form. And, God, we just can't say how much we love to have Keenan Allen back in Powder Blues.
That was your that was it, Andy? Headline?
Yep.
Cool. My headline is what was it? It's very much like Pat's. Chargers D nullifies Gentile Genty. I mean, the Pats defense only allowed 56 yards on 24 rushes for 2.3. Again, that's not what I was expecting. So I think we're going to see a bit of a turnaround from this defense this week from the Chargers, and I reckon we're going to contain Genty. That would also be a key to victory for me as well. Copy what the Pats did.
Yeah. Yeah, again, a bit of slippiness. Like Genty slipped on one where he could have got to the edge. They'll be indoors at Allegiant Stadium. I don't want us to take him lightly because you're right, Jack. He had, the 19 carries for 38 yards. It doesn't look good. I just wouldn't sleep on him because I still think, he was drafted pick 6 overall for a reason. Couple of keys to victory. I'll throw two. We can kind of pass the parcel. I think Jacoby Myers might be the most underrated wide receiver in the NFL. I know that's a big call, but no one talks about him. He was an 1,000-yard receiver. He did it again with 90-something yards last week. He's Mr. Dependable. You got him on one side, but you've got two guys on this team who can run a 4.3. You've got the big 6'5" Dante Thornton, one of the quickest 6'5" guys to come out of the draft in the last 20 years, and you've got Trey Tucker, who's the small, fast guy from the slot. God help us if Cam Hart's matched up on either of those. So that's one matchup to watch, I think.
Yep, that leads well into mine. Mine is how to use and pump up Cam Hart, and really important. Going back to the Chargers' defense against the Chiefs, the sort of synergy between Alohi Gilman and Elijah Molden is really important, because if those speedsters do break over the top, then we're going to need that support, and we're going to need the support in the right areas. So I think if for whatever reason Colton Miller and co can keep our pass rush at bay, then coverage has got to be right on top in order to prolong the time that we can get that pressure to Geno Smith, who seems to be hanging on to the ball a little bit too long.
Yeah, this is a huge game for pass rush. Just looking at the stats, he was pretty poor, Geno Smith, under pressure. He was under pressure about 37.5% against the Pats. He's going at 45% completion, only 8 yards per attempt. So it's time for Mac, Murphy, Dupree, Tooley. We've got to get him, because those guys, those fast guys, Trey Tucker, etc., will test the roof of our defense, I think. So this is the defensive line contain Genty. Edge, let's get pressure on Geno, because we know when Geno gets a little bit happy, he starts to sort of play a little bit of hero ball, and I think that's where we can feast in the secondary.
Yeah, I'll build on that with a final couple of comments. Geno Smith is a super aggressive quarterback. He is looking to push the ball down the field. I actually think he's a very good quarterback for the most part, and he will get his 300 yards on you, but he will give you those turnover-worthy plays, Jack. It happened against the Pats. There were a couple of them.
Yeah.
Capitalize on them. And how we can capitalize, the Raiders have gone in with a controversial offensive line. JPJ wanted to play center. They've said, no, Jordan Meredith is the center and you're the right guard. They allowed 3.5 sacks on the weekend, and JPJ definitely did not look comfortable playing right guard for the first time. Last year, he played left guard and center. Pete Carroll said, nope, we're swapping over here, and between him and Delmar Glaze, didn't look great. So I hope they test them out with some games and stunts. Switching it around, though, Max Crosby and Trey Pipkins is not a matchup I'm looking forward to watching. They need some kind of pass protection plan, because Crosby made fools of all the Pats O-linemen, and I've got a feeling against Trey Pipkins, he will stick on that side. He'll rush from the left. Sure. He'll just be hitting the right tackle. We need chipping help. We need running back shaded to that side. Anything, don't let Max Crosby wreck the game, because he still will.
Dare I say, this is a Tucker Fisk game. He's going to be active, and he's going to be on that right side. I guarantee you. I hope
I'm really interested to know how you guys feel about the players that get sort of, suited up. Tucker Fisk surely will need that heavy personnel assistance on the right-hand side. Denzel Perryman is a big loss in run defense. Naquan Jones didn't suit up. So there's going to be a lot of sort of headaches for the coaching staff as to who they're going to fill that 53 with. But yeah, Max Crosby is a daunting task.
Can
Upside
you
is
really, can you really not suit someone up who played against the Chiefs? That's the question. Can you change that lineup given the performance? Or maybe you just go game plan specific and they say that's how we're going to roll.
I think you sort of want to be game plan specific. I don't know if the personnel that we took into the Chiefs game is well suited to go against the Raiders with such a dominant edge rusher on paper, at least, and definitely the potential to be a much more potent rushing attack. So you got to get a little heavier and think about that sort of thing. But as we said with Keenan and the quick game, that does aid to nullify the impact of Crosby. We'll see.
And let's be honest. There's an elephant in the room that none of us have picked. Drake May is not Justin Herbert. So whilst the Raiders defense looked all right and it went okay, all right, maybe they're going to be all right, that is one of the worst fucking secondaries in the league. Let's just be honest, okay? Come on now. This is not Drake May with a kind of a sham-shod, ramrod receiving room. This is Lad McConkey. This is Keenan Allen. This is QJ. It's Omari. It's Justin Herbert. Best performance, well, maybe second best performance in the league coming off it. He's going to be hot. He's going to Las Vegas. He's going to take Madison. He's going to take Madison to the Bellagio, and he's going to have a bit of fun. He's going to throw some dice, and then he's going to throw some bloody touchdowns. I can tell you that much. He's going to throw some bloody touchdowns. Come on.
What's your score prediction, Jack?
I'd also take the Chargers secondary over the Patriots secondary. So
yeah, true, absolutely. I'm thinking. I actually said loss, I think, in my preseason, but that's kind of changed things a bit. There's a little bit of me that worries first home game. Pete Carroll's got something cooking for this a little bit. They'll be confident, but I will say that this is a 30-17 Chargers win. I say we're putting points up on these guys. We're going to go 30 or above.
Nice.
And Athea, also, by the way, I picked Chargers to win against the Chiefs. I needed to call you out in that one too. There's the third person. I'm done now, boys. Thank you.
Jesus. If we start winning too often, Andy, we're not going to have any listeners left. Jack has just taken pot shots, victory laps after week one. Fair
victory
enough.
laps on Victory Pod.
Sorry, Athea. Thanks for listening. And the rest of you being slammed. I'm with you. I'm going to go 7-point margin in this one. Raiders 17, Chargers 24. A big one to look out for is Brock Bowers hurt his left knee at some point in the game running a route. Pete Carroll was a bit coy about it. He's from the Harbaugh school of saying very little. So he's day-to-day. The other one's Landon Roberts, who they brought in specifically to be a tough run-defending linebacker from Pittsburgh. Without him, you're going to see that being a potential weakness. So maybe Omari and Hampton has a chance to build on that lowish yards per carry against the Raiders front seven. So yes, Chargers 24, Raiders 17.
Yeah, I'd like to hope that Najee gets worked in a little bit more as well. To just support Omari. I'm going 28-17, Chargers win. Feeling really good. Feeling really confident about this, and I'm sure the guys will be too. Monday Night Football, first primetime game, I think, technically, for the year, and good chance to go 2-0 in the division, and it's a really good opportunity. The Chiefs host the Eagles this week. Ooh, they're undermanned. The Eagles, I think, have a few more gears to get into after that Dallas game, so, Chiefs could be 0-2, and Chargers could be really taking advantage of their blunders and grabbing a hold of the AFC West. All right, let's go around the NFL just to finish off for a bit of fun, fellas. One headline each. Jack, if you want to start us off.
You know where I'm going, Alistair. You know where I'm going. It happened today.
I didn't watch it. What happened?
Caleb, even with his new Pink Johnson, can't get it done against Kevin and McCarthy's starry start. Oh, talk about a big loss. Caleb, Ben Johnson, what's happening? Didn't look great, personally.
Okay.
But
was
we'll wait
it
and see.
2-point loss against the team many fancied as Super Bowl contenders? Was that the...
At Soldier Field, though. At Soldier Field.
Okay.
And
Good
also,
result.
it's also against a rookie quarterback who's never played a snap. So, and it looked like,
Good call too.
and I must admit that McCarthy kind of dug deep and kind of got them the win there, and
Yeah, right.
Caleb couldn't. So
Let me just
anyway.
Caleb threw 3 picks or something, did he? Oh no,
I don't know the
picks.
stats of 0 picks. I think it was like really quite a short game from the highlights I saw.
Look at us go back and forth. Hey, if you're going to play the classic hits, I got a classic hit to play as well. We got Jets 32, Steelers 34 at the Meadowlands, and 40-something-year-old Aaron Rodgers just walks from his hotel, takes the subway to Penn Station, meditates, then boards a New Jersey Transit train to Secaucus Junction, transfers to the Meadowlands shuttle train, throws for 4 touchdowns, looks at Jack and says, "Stay woke, brother. Enjoy you and all your family having myocarditis from taking the Pfizer vaccine. I'm heading back to Pittsburgh. 1-0. Aaron Rodgers."
There was something about Rodgers' press conference when asked about how he felt beating beating Aaron Glenn told you couldn't be the quarterback here. And he goes, "You did say that. I'm very happy to beat everyone associated with the New York Jets." And it was
That was
fun.
good gear. I enjoyed that. That was good.
I was terrified when he celebrated a touchdown throw. He kind of hopped in the air. I was like, "Oh, careful of that Achilles." Whoop, whoop. But that was good. The funny thing, Jack, before I get into mine, the funny thing about the Bears-Vikings game is that on script, Caleb Williams did actually look awesome. Like their first drive or two looked great. And then
So does
he's
Jared
missing
Goff.
throws. And then what's the common factor? And McCarthy looked like he was playing his first NFL start to begin with, and then he put the purple on his back and won them the game, and it was pretty awesome. It was just, I think, the way that the Bears lost in Eberflus-esque Bears fashion to end that game. For me, it is mayhem in Miami. I hate to say it, I hate to acknowledge it, but I think Al might be right. Last week we were, in quick fire. You suggested that Mike McDaniel might be the first coach fired in 2025, and he is a sum of himself and his environment. 1 week in, the car is on bricks. 33-8 belting at the hands of a Daniel Jones-led Colts.
That's not good.
8 is like, that was borderline junk time score. Like
Indiana Jones.
that was very nearly a shutout to the Colts. Tua's throwing pies to defenders. I think he 114 yards, 2 picks.
You love to see it.
Getting smoked and fumbling. Even second-year edge Laiatu Latu is dropping into coverage and getting in on the picks. Tyreek Hill's cracking the sads more than one of his 14 million kids. You got to feel the pain for the Finns fans. Everyone's excited. Their team's coming back. It's week 1, and they're seeing Jalen Ramsey leg game-winning hit. Jonnu Smith and Hunter Long, they're both scoring tutties. Brandon Jones, Xavier Howard, fumble recoveries. They've got New England. They've got New England and then Buffalo. So I don't think it's getting too much better for Mike McGenius, the nerd boy, as Rex Ryan called him. And he's turning the ball over like it's prayer on a Sunday. It's wild.
There's the other thing that we got to shout out is that I think Joe Burrow saw the end of his life against the Browns. That hit from Myles Garrett looping around into the middle of his face. The fact that he got it out is incredible. I have not seen a hit like that for a long time. And I've gone, I think that's it for Joe. Like that could be concussion and broken ribs and arms. That guy's a battler. I must admit. I do like Joe Burrow. I have a very soft spot for him, but man, he can't take hits like that. And it's week 1, and he's almost been snapped in half. Golly.
It's shocking when you see it, but then you think about the Bengals' offensive line, and you go, "Yeah, he was lucky. It was probably only once."
Yeah.
Well,
True.
and talking about Drew Tranquil running in unabated and poleaxing Justin Herbert. Did you see Myles Garrett in the post-game press conference without his shirt on?
Unbelievable.
He is like a human chest pad, like
Unbelievable.
an absolute juggernaut, and he's just running, shattering Joey Ice. Like, just crazy. Yeah. My MVP prediction for Joe Burrow might definitely hinge on whether he's still alive come the second half of the season. But
Yeah.
More like MVP, most broken player. Sorry.
it's about that.
Yeah, it is.
I'm out of gas. Have you guys got anything else?
Well, if we're on the topic of Al's right, Puka Nacua, first week on his Offensive Player of the Year journey quest, looked pretty good. But if my form's anything to go by, he'll have 1,000 yards in week 8 and then do his knee. But off to a good start.
And he copped an absolute massive helmet to the face too. Like, the guy plays with reckless abandon. Doesn't he say that he wants to retire at 30 or something like that? Like, the guy is heading to an early retirement.
Brave.
Not even going to make 30. Guys, sorry, folks. I'm going to be gone for a few weeks. Taking my family over to Europe to actually go hang out with our good buddy Ryan Watkins, watch the Chargers-Broncos game with him. Very excited to drink some warm pints. It's going to be fantastic.
Just to be clear, that's not the reason for the trip.
It's going to be fantastic. No, that is not the reason for the trip. No, family in Italy and all that jazz. But I'm going to do my best to throw a few videos for Jack to chuck on the pod, just with my thoughts. I'll miss this. It's great to have a little send-off with a big victory pod against the Chiefs. You're in good hands with Jackie and Al, so long as Jack's not talking about the weather. But we're loving.
And Alistair's not talking about other things, but that's all right. Yeah.
Yeah. Other kind of downpour or precipitation formation south of the equator. We're loving what we're doing at the moment, guys. We're excited for an awesome year. Kind of doing our thing, covering the Chargers very unprofessionally. So don't forget to drop a like. Get involved with the comments. We love that. Twitter, Al's doing some awesome stuff with Coach's Film there as well, and the YouTube shorts. So get around all that stuff. Stay in the conversation, and don't forget the subscribe and the bell so you get notified, because we just pick random days during the week when we're available to record a show. So don't come here looking every Wednesday for it. It might be Thursday, it might be Tuesday. We just keep you guessing, keep you on your toes. That's all.
Plug at the start of the show, Andy.
I don't have to do it for another 5 weeks, so you can do whatever.
Bon voyage. Have an awesome trip, mate.
All right. Yeah, enjoy it, Andy. Enjoy time with family. Enjoy going to watch Liverpool. Go Bolts. See you later.
Backpedals looking, firing. He's got Floyd turning. Got it. 6 10, 5, high step, touchdown!